Today, more than 50% of the global population lives in urban areas. By 2050, it's expected that 2 out of 3 persons will be living in cities. Therefore, to accommodate urbanization demands, new buildings are being constructed every day, and at least 1 billion new dwellings units are expected to be built by 2050. This situation represents a great opportunity to develop a safe, green, and inclusive environment. Ineffective regulatory process and the growth of informal settlements in large urban centers has led to increased vulnerability to chronic and acute disaster risk. For example, in 2017, Category 5 Hurricane Maria affected Dominica, leaving 90% of the buildings damaged or destroyed and generating more than 1.2 billion in damages in just a few hours. While in Nigeria, only in the city of Lagos, 167 spontaneous structural collapses have occurred in the last 20 years. The construction sector is one of the highest CO2 emitters. According with the International Energy Agency, in 2021, the operation of buildings accounted for 30% of the global final energy consumption and 27% of total energy sector emission. Construction and maintenance of buildings have been regulated by societies as early as the Code of Hammurabi in 750 before Christ, which dictated punishment to those that constructed unsafe buildings. Since then, there has been a significant evolution in building laws and regulations, reflecting advancement of science and technology, as well as learning from countless devastated experience of natural hazards and spontaneous building collapse. Building code compliance is known as one of the most cost-effective approaches to build resilience. The National Institute of Building Science of the United States found that adopting and implementing latest hazards-informed building codes yield up to $13 benefit for every dollar invested through resilience building. Based on these global examples, many low and middle-income countries are on the path of improving building regulations.
GFDRR offers technical support related to building regulations, helping governments to enhance the resilience, sustainability, and inclusive accessibility of the built environment through regulatory and institutional reforms. GFDRR has developed a suite of tools to understand gaps and opportunities in countries' existing building regulatory capacity and implementation mechanism. For example, our typical engagement will begin with the Building Regulatory Capacity Assessment, which will lead to a technical assistance to enhance the quality of building regulatory framework, improve and digitalize the building approval process with transparency and efficiency, and strengthen capacity of building professionals. Over the past 5 years, 15 assessments has been carried out. For instance, GFDRR is working with Maldives, Kenya, and Malawi to enhance the quality of structural safety provisions in legal and regulatory instruments. In Dominica, the GFDRR was able to support the passage of an updated building code. In Zanzibar, GFDRR is working with the government to conceptualize their first building code after a long time they used the old British standard. In Armenia, GFDRR has ongoing dialogue to increase energy efficiency for the overall built environment. In all countries where we operate, we promote provisions on universal accessibility through building regulations. Another increasingly demanded area of the technical assistance is building approval process reform and digitalization. In the Maldives, we have been helping the government in reviewing current building approval process and to design an optimized and digitalized process. These reforms cannot be done without capacity building of building professionals. To effectively support these growing demands, we continue to develop practical tools to make our services effectively delivered and share lessons and best practices. As urbanization continues to happen at high pace, we will continue to see demand from countries to support building regulatory reform agenda. GFDRR will continue to closely work with task teams to leverage World Bank instruments as vehicle to advance building regulatory reforms, especially through development policy loan, which is a core vehicle for the governments in advance in policy and institutional reforms. In FY22, 40% of the World Bank annual net commitments was through policy financing, compared to 22% in FY18. The growth of the policy financing portfolio, together with our expert knowledge, can be leveraged to influence the much-needed regulatory changes that will contribute to a safer built environment. Thank you for your attention.